Within each and every one of us, there is this inherent spark, a spark to know ourselves, a spark to know the Creator, a spark to know about life itself, and that spark needs to be harnessed. As we pass through life, much happens in our life in which instead of gaining from what the Lord has given us, we get entangled in the web that we find ourselves surrounded by, is what life puts in front of us. A life of illusion, a life of Maya, is always entangling us more and more and more, so that we're unable to focus on our goals, and we just get entangled in those activities that over time are not that helpful to us. And so instead of looking for where right guidance comes to us, that guidance which makes us life immensely happy, that guidance which makes us lead a life of calm and peace, that guidance that gives us tremendous wisdom, we just live on the periphery of our existence. There's a very interesting anecdote coming from the ancient time. This is before fire was known to us as human beings. Those were the times when people saw light only in the sun, or in the flickering of the stars, or the changing of the moon. And this anecdote talks about a belief that there was a great being who had harnessed the energy of the sun and kept it hidden. And so people who would live in that age would wonder if that energy of the sun, the light of the sun, could be used by them. So this is a story about a person who was striving in life. He was a person who was trying to make his end meet, and which happens to many of us. Even though he tried very hard, he found that he could not lead life as happy as he wanted to, and his resources of monetary gains were very little. So he was a poor person, and he was always trying to work hard to make a better living for himself, but never could get there. In the kingdom in which he lived, the king announced one day that the flame which everyone talks about, which has been harnessed by someone and stored someplace and is hidden, if anyone finds that person would be rewarded with a lot of money. So this young man, he decided to go after finding that flame. So he told his friends and neighbors that that's what he's going to do. And so everyone told him, that's a myth. That's just a story. That's something that, a belief that we've been asked to do. You're never going to find the flame. And he said, I'm going to find the flame because I want to get rich, and I want the money, and I want to live happily and have whatever it needs so that I would have the resources to live properly. So he searches and he searches and can't find anything in this place. So he dreams one day that he should go to the next kingdom, and the flame is hidden there. So lo and behold, he gets up, he packs his bags, and he's, in those days, he just walked. So he goes to the next kingdom. And when he gets there, he's wandering here, he's wandering there, and the police of that area catch him. They say, what are you doing here? And the person says, I came to find the flame because I had a dream that the flame was in your kingdom. And the policeman says, what are you talking about? Dreams are never true. We always have all kinds of dreams. We can't believe what the dream says. And as they're talking, he says, I suggest you go back to your own home. And they talk about little things, about dreams. And the policeman says, I had a dream many years ago about the flame too. And in my dream, it looked like there was a little house which was kind of raggedy. In the back of it was a hill. And in the hill was a cave. And in front of the cave, there was a stone which had the sign of 2 sticks on it. And as the policeman is telling the story, this person realizes that what he's describing looks very similar to his own home. Because where he lived, in the back was a little hill with a cave and a big stone and with 2 sticks, and he had always thought that the kids have scratched some sticks in them. So he came back to his area, he went in there, he went to the cave, he removed the stone, he goes in. And as he goes in, he finds a heap of wood. And under the heap of wood, he finds a lot of black stones. And as he's digging and he removes some of the stones, underneath there he finds an orange light, the amber. And as he finds that, he has never seen beauty like that before. This is time when they've never seen fire, they've never seen light, there's no electricity, there's nothing that we know today. And he looks at it and he's feeling very, very happy. And as he looks at it and as he removes the stones, the gush of air comes in and the amber starts to glow and makes into a fire. And as he brings it out and brings it to the king, not only did he get his reward, but much changes came in the life of many, many people because of fire coming to their lives. It was that fire that transformed their lives. Not only could people see at night, so that they were not worried about wild animals coming to them, they used the fire to start cooking. They used the fire for heat, and the life of human beings started to be transformed. Now we also have a spark within ourselves, the spark of the divine. Our true existence is not at the level of the body. Our true existence is at the level of our soul. And our soul is a part of God. Our soul is full of the love and light of God. Our soul is a drop of the ocean of all consciousness that God is. And so, as we access our spirit or our soul, then we are harnessing the energy which is godly, the energy which gives us a life of infinite wisdom, the energy that brightens each and every aspect of our life, the energy which is so loving that it encompasses everyone and everything around us, an energy that takes us into regions of beauty and regions of joy and regions of happiness. And the journey of exploring this spark that we have within ourselves, which when ignited becomes a flame, is a journey of love. It's a journey that as we undertake the journey, the unfolding of vistas after vistas of divinity start to open up for us. The spark of the divine is within each and every one of us. Each and every one of us has a part of God in ourselves. But what do we generally do to find that spark? Many of us read the writings of the great saints and the mystics. Many of us read our scriptures. Many of us feel by reading we will be able to analyze what life is and then be able to gain just by reading. Many of us go to our places of worship. Many of us go on pilgrimages to certain parts of the world which we feel are holy. And so we're always searching for the divine in the world outside. When we read the lives of the great saints and mystics, whose teachings are prevalent all around the globe, when we look at how the faiths were formed, they were all after the lives of great saints who came in and their teachings, we find that they all had experiences of the divine by themselves. They were all sitting in silence when the divine got revealed to them. So whether we call that process meditation, whether we call it sitting in silence, whether we call it praying with attention, whether we call it inversion, these are all various names for very similar activities. And as we focus our attention away from the world outside, and as our attention is focused on the inside, then tremendous gains start to come to us. We live in a very scientific age, and so science today is trying to explore how creation came into being and what our relationship with the Creator is. And so, we've got spaceships, we're trying to go into space to find what happens on other planets. We have these great atom smashers, which are breaking particles down to get to the gist of what is it that makes us tick, so that we can know what we're made of. And what is very interesting is the deeper that the science is getting into knowing about creation, the closer they are getting to what the saints and mystics have been talking about for eons and eons. It's very interesting. As the atom smashers got bigger and bigger, so the particles that they could find were smaller and smaller. And about 50, 60 years ago, scientists used to think that the smallest particles were all solid. And today, as they've broken down the atoms and the protons and the neutrons and the electrons, they're saying there are smaller particles. And what is very interesting is the one particle that they can't find out, they call it the God particle. It's a particle that scientists are having difficulty realizing what that is. And what is very interesting is what they thought was solid many, many years ago, today the scientists are telling us that at the heart of everything is a vibration which was so strong and which the frequency is so high that their instrumentation could not decipher it before. And what do you think is the holy word? What do you think is the naam of the shab? A vibration, which is in every particle that there is, a vibration which is within ourselves. And even though that vibration is within ourselves, since our attention is on the world outside, we are unable to harness the energy that the spark of the divine which is within each and every one of us gives us. Our life is like that of a couple who just got married. A couple got married, and as is customary, they went on their honeymoon. So they booked a very fancy suite in a 5-star hotel. And so they go, they check in, and they go to the room, and they're looking and looking, and there's no bed in the room. They're saying, how are we going to sleep here? And so all of a sudden they realize, oh, there's Murphy bed, one in the wall. So they pull the bed down, and they go to sleep in the bed. And as they sleep in, it's lumpy, and it's like, not comfortable, and somehow they pass the night. So in the morning, they go and they check out. They're trying to check out and say, let's move to another place. I mean, we, maybe went to the website and picked up a wrong place. And so as they're checking out, they're talking to, the clerk there, and he's saying, you reserved for many days, so why are you checking out? They said, there's just a lumpy bed in the whole suite. And the person said, what do you mean there's a lumpy bed? There's a beautiful bed there. He said, what do you mean there's a beautiful bed? And there's a bed in the wall. So he said, let me walk with you. He goes in there. And as he walks in there, right in the back of the room, there's a door, which the couple thought was a closet. And he opens the door and opens up into a beautiful bedroom, which they never opened up. And it's the same thing with us. Inside of us here are all the goodies. Everything that we need to know ourselves right there. All the riches of the world, all the wisdom, all the divinity, everything is hidden deep within each and every one of us. And what do? We search for it on the outside. We are running here, and we're running there, and we're running there. And our life is like that of a musk deer. The musk deer smells the sweet smell of musk, and it enchants us. So it wants to get to it. So it runs sometimes this way, sometimes this way, sometimes this way to get to that smell, not realizing the smell is coming from within. And it's the same thing with us. We want to know about ourselves. Where did we come from? Where are we going to go? What is the purpose of our life? So what do? We run here to find some information. We run there to find some information. We go there to get some information. And we never go here, where all the treasures are hidden. And when we look back at history, and when we look into the life of the great saints and mystics, they all talked about finding God by inwarding. All faiths have two sides to it. One is the esoteric side of a faith. That today is hidden. That side of a faith deals with the spirit, the soul, the flight of the soul, the journey of the soul, the unraveling of the beauties within, the regions after regions of joy and peace and bliss, which are all within ourselves, and techniques of getting there. And then there's the outer side of our religion, which is called the exoteric side of a faith, which deals with the outer part of life. And that deals with the rites and rituals. Like when we go to a place of worship, how do we go? Do we put our shoes on? Do we cover our head? Do we take our shoes out? Do we wash our hands? These are all rituals that are with each and every one of us. Do we go light a candle? Do we ring a bell? Do we play music there or listen to the hymns? These are outer signs. And these rituals are what we are all entangled in. We forget that there is another side to our faith, which is the spiritual side, which is what deals with the divine aspect of our life. And we all can access that part. And to access that part, we need to go within. All of us have been given what is called the single eye, the spiritual eye, the third eye, the seat of the soul, the Shiv Netra, the Dasma Dwar. It has different names in different languages. The Nukta Safeda. It's here, between and behind the two eyebrows. What is needed is for our attention to be focused there. What is happening is that our attention, which is the outer expression of a soul, is going out into the world. And as it goes out into the world, then we get colored by the hues of this world. Wherever our attention is, that is what we become. And so when our attention is out into this world outside, all we experience is what is of this physical world. But beyond the physical is the astral world. Beyond the astral is the causal world. Beyond that is the supracausal world. Beyond that is what is called Sachkhand, the region of all truth. And the physical world is a reflection of the astral world. The astral world is a reflection of the causal world. The causal world is a reflection of the supercausal world. The supercausal world is a reflection of the region of all truth, or what is called Sachkhand in the East. And you can well imagine when we live in an arena which is a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of a reflection of the divine, how much little do we realize about what the reality is? The sun, just one sun, just brightens up this whole earth. Just one sun. And when the sun shines, we can't even look up in the sun. I mean, it's, even though it's like millions of miles away. If that sun falls in a pond of water, you can see the reflection of the sun in the water. Yeah? It warms the water. Now from the pond, if there's a wall there, if that then from the pond is going to fall on the wall, you'll see a reflection on the wall. Okay? Now, this reflection on the wall has no heat in it and no light coming from it. So there's like 2 reflections away. So if you're 4 reflections away, you don't experience anything about the reality. So saints and mystics are exhorting us to go back and experience the reality. Saints and mystics are exhorting us that let us not remain in the reflection of the reflection of the reflection. Let us instead go and experience what the truth is, what the reality is of our existence. And that can happen as we go within ourselves. That is what meditation is all about. Whether you call it meditation, whether you call it going within, it's a technique of not going into outer space, but going into inner space. So you don't need a jet, you don't need a spaceship, you don't need the fuel to go in there, to cross the barriers that our earth is putting in the space. To go into inner space, the fuel that we need is to ignite this spark of the divine that we have. And that happens as our attention gets focused here. As we focus our attention within, we'll be able to soar into the regions within. And with help and guidance, just like we need a pilot to take us in a plane from one place to another, and that's the guidance that we get from the saints and the mystics, then our journey within can be guided. Sant Darshan Singh Ji Maharaj, who wrote much about the spiritual way, and this verse is in Urdu. He says very beautifully, he says, "Khak se taba kya kasha, हमने तो जब किया सफ़र, खाक से ताबा क्या कशां, हमने तो जब किया सफ़र, इश्क मिला कदम कदम, हुस्न मिला नज़र नज़र." He's saying, when I traveled from the earth earthy to the heaven heavenlies, I found love at every step and beauty in every glance. So the journey is a journey of love. This is a journey of beauty. And this is a journey that takes us from the physical to the divine. And so as we go on this journey, is the unraveling of regions after regions of light and beauty. And as we meditate, we can cross the barrier and we can be guided from the physical to the astral, from the astral to the causal, from there to the regions beyond. And we are able to experience much more of the light, much more of the joy, much more of the happiness by ourselves. And as we experience that, we will find that life is going to be lived in a manner in which it should be lived, because the experience of the light is such that it transforms us. It transforms us as individuals. And as we get transformed as individuals, the effect happens in our family. So individual transformation ends up in transformations happening in the family. We get more loving, we get more caring, we are more conscious of ourselves, we are more conscious of our environment. And as families are transformed, then the communities get transformed. As communities get transformed, so do the cities and the countries and the whole world. And so each and every one of us does have an effect. So if a few people change here and a few people change here and a few people change here, and as the area and the number of people that they change and the effect gets more and more, hopefully we live in a world where paradise is down here on earth. And so all of it happens through the experience. And to experience the divine, the techniques are very, very simple. All faiths have meditative techniques or techniques of praying, and they're very simple. One of the ones that we use in the Sant tradition is called Jyothi Meditation. And in that, we sit very comfortably. We sit totally relaxed. We can sit in any manner. We can sit on the chair, we can sit on the floor, we can sit on the sofa, that doesn't matter. But we sit comfortably. We close our eyes very gently. Our eyeball should be straight, focus 8 or 10 inches in front of us. And as we close our eyes, we focus our attention in front. generally, as soon as you close your eyes, you'll have thoughts. And the thoughts are coming from the mind. To be able to get to a state of no thoughts, we repeat God's name. So as we close our eyes, we repeat God's name. You can repeat any name of God that you feel comfortable with. As you repeat God's name, just keep your attention focused right in front of you. And in the darkness, with time, some light will start to sprout forth. It could look like circles of light, it could look like light coming and going. Whatever you see, just focus in the middle, and with time, the lights will stabilize. Actually, what is happening is the light is not coming from the outside. The light of God is within each and every one of you. As you concentrate, you experience the light. As you're distracted, you experience darkness. So with time, as your concentration improves more and more, you'll be experiencing the light more and more.